Hello, my name's Jasper. Welcome back to Buckle Up and welcome to the brand new MG S5 EV. And I'm going to find out if it's any good. Okay, starting with styling, at the front of the new S5 EV, you'll see a very swooping front. Very clean, smooth lines of design. You've got large vents for airflow at either side of the front bumper and a large split grille at the base. This is vaguely inspired by the new Cyberster styling. Behind this, you've actually got some active flaps for aerodynamics, and you've got your massive MG octagonal badge up front and centre. You've got a new checkered flag inspired LED daytime running light strike across the top here, and then your headlamps are split. They are below this. Quite inoffensive styling that doesn't particularly stand out on the roads today, but this does tie in very nicely with the rest of MG's updated product range. You can spot the family resemblance. While the front bumper has no elements of chrome brightwork on it, that is not the case when you come around to the side of the car, because you've got a large chrome element along the base of the doors, one that swoops across the top of the windows, and your roof rails are also embossed with chrome. You've got black mirrors, which on the trophy trim do electrically fold in, but on this trim, which is the SE long range, I've got black mirrors that do not fold, but I do have 17-inch, very aerodynamically styled alloy wheels with your kind of aerodynamic inserts, so in theory, pretty efficient when it comes to driving. I've got keyless entry and go on all trim levels of this, and if I did have the trophy, I'd also have privacy glass in the rear doors, but here I don't, so you've got quite a light and airy cabin, and ultimately this is a very standard styled crossover SUV style vehicle. On this rear quarter on the other side of the vehicle, I have my charging flap, and this takes a CCS fast charger, and all models of the car, irrespective of battery size, will charge from 10 to 80% in about 28 minutes or less. Now, the back is probably my favourite angle of the new MG S5 EV, and that's because it plays on some styling elements that I really like from the MG4. So you've got a full width light bar with your MG octagonal badge in the middle of it. That light bar works its way right round to the edge of the car, and then again you've got these new checkered flag style rear light clusters over here, and that's covered in a nice clear plastic. You've got a rear wiper, your third level brake light is integrated into the top spoiler, and then down at the bottom of the car you'll see again some of that vaguely chrome styled highlighting in this rear bumper. If I'd got the trophy trim level, I'd have an electronic tailgate with a kick function to open it, but as this is just the SE long range, I do have to open this boot myself. But you will notice from the side of the car, this is quite a long vehicle, and that really comes into play when you're talking about practicality, because back here I have got 435 litres of space, which is pretty competitive for this segment, and I really like how this boot is laid out. You've got a chunky false floor that's got a good amount of space underneath it, definitely enough room for your charging cable, but then loads more other things. Beneath that you've also got space for your toolkit, and then the boot has got a load of extra practical features in it. So you've got nets either side of it with deep pockets, tie down points, a couple of hooks for carrier bags, and then if you fold your rear seats down, which importantly are a 60-40 folding split, your 435 litres of space goes all the way up to 1,441 litres. The boot is a very sensible boxy shape. It's tall, it's wide, it's flat. It's a really good practical space. Let's have a look at the back seats and see if that extra length in this wheelbase comes into play there. Stepping into the back seats of the S5 EV is a little bit of a treat, and that's because there is loads of space back here. Now, this seat is in my driver's position, but I have got a lot of legroom, and basically this car has got a wheelbase that's actually quite a bit longer than most of its direct rivals, and all of that space has basically come into the back seats and the boot, so legroom back here is very good. Headroom is decent as well, and these seats are incredibly comfortable. They're very supportive foam, and they are clad in this lovely grey fabric with some nice little bits of stitching, and up front they're actually a two-tone fabric design. If you had the trophy model, you'd actually get some faux leather, but to be honest, I really like this fabric and it does feel very comfortable. The door cards do have some slightly harder plastics on them, but all of your touch points are actually really nice, and you've got a nice cushioned armrest in the door as well. Down at the bottom we have some practical features. So my reusable bottle of water does fit in this door card, and then in the centre I've got rear climate vents, no control though, and a single USB Type-C power port. You can get a fold-down armrest with cup holders in it, but that is reserved for the trophy model. You do have ISOFIX points on both of these outer seats, which are accessed via a little Velcro flap, so no stupid plastic covers to fall off and get lost there. And really, the ambience in the cabin back here is very nice. I've got practical features like grab handles and a hook for a suit jacket, but no rear reading lights. You have to get the trophy trim for those as well. The other thing that MG have done with this is they've made the battery very thin. It's only 110 millimeters tall. And what that means is that I've got plenty of space to put my feet under the driver's seat. The floor is completely flat across the entire width of the car, and it doesn't sit too high up. So rear space has been improved and rear comfort has been improved because my feet aren't lifted up higher than would be ideal. So props to MG here. The back seats of this car are really practical and very spacious. Well, stepping into the front, it's really good to see such a great range of materials that all look and feel so nice in a car that's as competitively priced as the new S5 EV. MG have definitely listened to their customers because they've improved some of the areas that really weren't quite good enough in some of their other products, and it really shows in here. It is a lovely cabin. The design language is great. I love the layers in the dashboard, this little carbon fibre style woven material that slides across the entire width. You've got lovely sections of perforated leather up top on the dashboard, and this faux leather on your steering wheel. A nice range of plastics. All of this feels great and looks really nice too. The cabin also feels very modern because you've got a pretty decent sized driver's cluster that's digital, as well as a massive 12.3-inch digital infotainment system that is very fast to swipe through. It really does respond nice and quickly when you tap things. You can tell that MG have put some effort into this because it's the best system in any of their cars that I've used. And then beneath that, hallelujah, thank you MG, we've got some proper physical buttons. It's almost like MG have gone, oh, people don't actually like everything being in the screen. So I'm pleased to report I've got a volume knob over here, a home button for the infotainment system, and then proper climate controls to adjust my temperature, my fan speed, my front and rear demist, a hazard light switch, and also my airflow direction. So it's so easy to just adjust something on the climate control or your volume. You don't have to tap, 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 tap on a screen. As we move further down this central control stack, we've got some lovely controls for the air vents, which are this sleek little strip along here. I've got a pair of cup holders, which both take a reusable bottle up here. That bottle also fits nicely in the door card down here, and there's a large door bin beneath that. In the center console here, I've got a nice slot that I could put my phone in, but there's also a lovely section just here for that to lie in. And if this was the trophy model, that would be a wireless Qi charging pad. I've also got my very classic MG style rotary shifter, park being a button on the top, and then my switch for my electronic parking brake. Behind all of that, I've got a large armrest, which is very soft on the top and has got a large storage cubby underneath it, quite deep. And in there, there's a 12-volt socket, as well as two USB Type-C charging ports. But you don't need to plug your phone in because all trims come with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto as standard. Beneath your floating center console, you've got a large storage cubby as well. That's got a rubberized mat on the bottom of it, so stuff doesn't slide around. And then over on the passenger side, you've got a large glove box, which is damped but not felt lined, but it's still really nice to see a proper sized glove box in a modern EV, because not all manufacturers do that. Looking at you, VW. The seats in this are very comfortable, they are very supportive, and these ones in this trim are manually adjusted, but if I had the trophy, they would be electrically adjusted. Looking at the steering wheel, I've got my controls for my MG Pilot on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I've got a joystick for adjusting things like the track and volume on the infotainment system. I've also got a pair of favourite buttons. So my left one I can currently use to adjust the level of regenerative braking, and the right one is set up to switch between my drive modes. I've also got shortcut buttons to turn on the cruise control and MG Pilot, as well as a voice control system and the ability to switch through different displays for the driver's instrumentation cluster. It all makes sense, it's laid out pretty sensibly, and then behind the steering wheel I've got my wiper stalk on the right and all of my light controls and indicators, etc. on the left hand side. Unfortunately, there are a few things that you don't get on the SE that you might want. So if you want your heated seats, if you want a heated steering wheel, if you want auto wipers, you do have to step up to the trophy. But when you move from the SE to the SE long range, that's £2,500, and when you move from the SE long range to the trophy long range, it's another £2,500. So it's a very sensible and easy to understand pricing structure, and still very competitive. So that's enough about the cabin. Let's see how it drives. Righty-ho then, the first thing I am immediately struck by is just how quiet this cabin is. At low speeds, there's a barely perceptible hum coming from the electric motor. There's very little road noise and very little wind noise as well, so the cabin could be described as pretty well refined. I am in the SE long range trim, which means I've got the bigger 64 kilowatt hour battery and the more powerful 231 PS motor that is available on this car. The platform that this sits on is the same one as the MG4, so those of you familiar with the MG4's power outputs and battery options, you'll see quite a lot of similarity here because ultimately they're about the same. The SE model does come with a lower powered 170 PS motor that's got about 250 Newton meters of torque, but if you get the bigger battery and the more powerful motor in the SE long range or in the trophy, you get 231 PS, 350 Newton meters of torque, and in sport mode, a 0 to 62 time of just 6.3 seconds, which is actually quite a lot faster than all of this car's closest rivals. It certainly does have a good amount of twist and kind of pins you back into your seat. Now, the thing that I'm noticing with the steering when pushing this car in some corners is that there's not a great deal of feel or feedback. You can at least tell vaguely what your control inputs are doing. Even at higher speeds, it's a really comfortable ride, it's very quiet, and it's very, very well refined. The car rides nicely, and those 17-inch alloy wheels aren't too big, so you won't feel particularly uncomfortable. And even the 18s, you still have a good amount of sidewall, so if you're going for the trophy, I don't really expect it to be any less comfortable than this. When you look at the trims that are available, they're actually very simple. You've got 3 available: SE, SE Long Range and Trophy. SE and SE Long Range have the exact same amount of kit, you just get a larger battery and a longer range if you go for the bigger battery model. So WLTP figures say this should do 298 miles on a full charge, assuming you can achieve 4 miles per kilowatt hour. If you stump up the extra £2,500 over this and go for the trophy model, whilst you get a decent amount more kit in terms of heated seats, heated steering wheel, privacy glass, electric boot, a few other options like a 360-degree camera system instead of just the reversing camera, you do unfortunately sacrifice a little bit of range because the larger alloy wheels are not as efficient. So you lose about 10 miles from the WLTP claimed range of the car if you have those larger alloys and if you're in the trophy model. I must confess though, for me, because I am a cold-blooded animal at heart and I like my heated seats, I probably would stump up the extra for the trophy if I were looking to buy one of these, because I think realistically the extra kit it gets you is worth a 10-mile sacrifice in the range. Real-world efficiency, in very careful driving circumstances, you might manage to get your 4 miles per kilowatt hour. 90% charge, I'm looking at around 220 miles, which is still a really nice, usable real world range, but it's obviously not quite your 300 miles in the real world. Probably one of the most important things to mention about how this drives is it's actually pretty good, and that's partly because it's based on the MG4's platform, which for an EV is relatively engaging because you've got a rear wheel drive independent suspension setup at the back, and it's a chassis that allows you to just have a little bit of fun if you really want to. Now obviously, this being a crossover, you're not going to have quite as much fun as you do in the more hatchback like MG4. This is ultimately designed as a proper family vehicle, and to be honest, it seems like it's a very good one. I really appreciate the space, the comfort, and how well this just seems to drive. You could throw a normal commute at this, no problem. You're also well looked after because MG's full suite of adaptive cruise control and safety systems are present on all trim levels of this car, which is really good to see. That's again something that MG are very good at, is offering you a lot of value for money, because ultimately the pricing structure and trim level structure of this car is very simple. It's, do you want the big battery? Yes or no? Do you want the really nice kind of extra bits and pieces that make your life a little bit more comfortable? Yes or no? And then other than that, the only thing you can choose is paintwork. A lot of safety systems, such as speed limit recognition and warning and lane keep assist, legally have to turn on every time you turn the car on. But if you don't like these, you can choose which of the systems you'd like to be running or not, and then turn them all off or on with 2 button presses, so MG really know what it's like to live with a car in the real world. One final thing you get on the trophy trim level is built-in apps. So on that, you can get Spotify, TikTok and YouTube built into the native system in the car. And if you do buy one of those, I'd recommend checking out a channel called Buckle Up on YouTube. I've heard they're quite good. Anyway, that's probably enough. I will go and conclude. Well, ultimately, this is one of the easiest recommendations I can make for a brand new car right now, because when it comes to value for money, this is incredibly competitive. When you take the car as a whole in terms of styling, cabin, features, technology and practicality, it's ultimately a really easy recommendation. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do let me know by liking, commenting and subscribing to the Buckle Up YouTube channel. There are a few different ways you can support us, all of which are linked in the video description. Our social medias are all down there, our merch store is down there, and if you want to stay directly here on YouTube, please do become a channel member and support us on a monthly basis. That's everything for today's video, so I will see you in the next one. Bye!